Alright, this book, this is a bad book. The premise is really good. Like, the premise is, this girl Valerie is dating a guy called Nick, and 5 months ago, Nick comes into school with a gun, kills 7 people, shoots her in the leg, and then kills himself. And it's kind of about her going back to school and facing things, and I liked that premise, which is why I bought the book. Probably shouldn't have bought the book, and I probably should have noticed from the reviews on the back that it's not going to be that great. So you know how like most books have got reviews on them from other authors or from really prestigious, not prestigious, but famous magazines or prestigious newspapers. So Eleanor Parks has got a review on the front from John Green, and another one of her books on the back has got a review from Closer, which isn't a newspaper, but like a lot of people read Closer. Fangirl has got a review from the New York Journal of Books, and like it says on the front that Eleanor and Park is a New York Times bestseller. How I Live Now has got reviews from The Guardian and The Observer. Even this book that I'm going to do a review of later, it's got a review from Cassandra Clare. It's got a review from MTV.com, and it's got a review from Maureen Johnson. Like, if you're going to get reviews for your book, if you're going to put reviews on your book, you put reviews of authors, and you put reviews of things that people have heard of. The reviews on this book are from School Library Journal, Publishers Weekly, and VOYA. Never heard of any of them. Now, it's entirely possible that I'm a really uncultured swine. It's possible, not likely. They're very short reviews. Startling, powerful, and poignant. Riveting. Spellbinding. Like, one-word reviews, like one-word review is fine, so long as you've got another one that's got a bit more detail to it. This is not a detailed review. Let's get down to the actual kind of why I didn't like this book. First off, this cover, not a fan. The person who you can see most clearly is, I'm assuming, Nick, but I don't know, because it doesn't ever tell you. You never meet Nick. He's dead. I don't think he deserves to be on the cover, or if he does, he doesn't deserve to be that important on the cover. And I'm assuming that this person in the background is Valerie. Do they look like outcasts to you? Because they don't to me. And like all the way through the book, she's complaining about how she's an outcast. She's not popular, that's true, but she's not an outcast. She has a boyfriend and a group of friends, and like, she's not an outcast. She talks about being bullied all the time, and yet when the person, like, she kind of forgives her bulliers very easily. And the bullying is never really explained. Like, I know that bullying, when it's being done to you, feels kind of for no reason at all. But she's called Sister Death a lot, but she just wears black. Like, she's not an emo or a goth. And a lot of people wear black. Like, it's written badly. It's bad writing. It's just bad. And that frustrated me throughout the book. It's very difficult for me to explain why I didn't like this book without spoilering. I think that's gonna have to be the end to my non-spoilery review. I'm sorry that wasn't a lot of detail. If you want to read this book, which you might want to, it might really be your cup of tea, then go and read it. If you want to be spoiled anyway because you're not going to read it and you want to know why you shouldn't read it, continue to watch this video. But if you don't want to get spoiled, I'll see you later. Bye, 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 bye. Okay, so things in this book that were bad. Both of her parents are really unrealistic. This is a girl who has just been shot in the leg, and then her boyfriend, who she was in love with, killed himself. Like, take away from the equation that he's killed 7 people, because that's a thing in and of itself. But first, what you need to look at is this girl just lost her boyfriend and was shot in the leg. If your reaction at that point is to isn't to spend every every waking moment comforting your daughter, you're not a good parent. You're just not. The person she was in love with killed himself. That is a horrible thing to go through. Her parents just don't care. I mean, I know they didn't like him before this happened, but that doesn't matter. He killed himself. And she's in the hospital at one point, and a detective's come to talk to her about the fact that they think she was in on the killings. And her dad, who is a lawyer, lets her sit in her hospital bed for 3 days being interrogated by a police officer with no lawyer present. With no one present. Just her and a police officer in the room. Would not happen. It just wouldn't. And, like, throughout the book, they say really horrible things to her that you just... Like, it's entirely possible that a parent would say those things. I mean, they'd be an awful parent, but it's entirely possible. But what would happen afterwards is that the relationship would be ruined. There's a point in kind of like the last third of the book where her mum says, I keep thinking of you as the person that ripped our family apart, but I should think of you as the person who stopped the shooting. Okay, so many things wrong with that sentence. First thing, she did not rip your family apart. Your husband has been having an affair for 3 years. That's way before any of this ever happened. Second thing, the fact that she stopped the shooting is wonderful, and she deserves credit for it. It is not the reason that you shouldn't treat her as if she's ruined your life. The reason that you shouldn't treat her like that is because she hasn't, and she's your daughter, and her life is shit. And the third thing that's wrong with that is, I don't care if you think, I do care, but even if as a mother you do think those things about your daughter, you don't say them. Because your relationship would be ruined. There would be no getting back from that, from telling your daughter that she's the reason that your husband has been having an affair for 3.5 years. That's just... And as much as her mum is unbelievable, her dad is worse. Like, he blames her for things. He can't forgive her for writing the hate list that the people who were killed came from. And actually, it's a really unrealistic thing to be angry at her for. Writing a list of people and things that make you angry and that you hate. And that doesn't mean hate like you want to kill them. It means hate like I can't be around them because actually they really piss me off. It's not an unusual thing. And the idea that he gets to be uppity about that is preposterous. All of her friends bugger off for no reason. Like, they assume that she was in on it, even though she took a bullet to the leg. Or the kind of just crappy bits. Like, later on in the book, she becomes friends with Stacy, or Jessica, or someone. It's Jessica. Her name is Jessica. Jessica bullied her. I don't believe that Jessica would not attempt to apologise for the bullying. I don't believe that Valerie would just get over the bullying, even without an apology. So much of this was so badly written that I can't even... 403 pages. 403 pages, and yet the idea was not properly explored. She didn't mourn for Nick. She didn't explain herself, ever. She was innocent, and yet when people kept accusing her of being guilty, she just stood there and took it repeatedly. And I just... Either she could have done two things. Either she could have not taken it, and that would have been realistic, or she could have taken it and had some bloody realistic writing, because this was crap. I feel a bit bad about this review, because I'm sure that Jennifer Brown, who wrote this book, put a lot of time and energy and effort into this book, and I'm sure that she liked it. I did not. And I think there was one bit in this book that I liked, and it's like towards the end. First off, the end is such a cop-out. She just leaves kind of without any explanation of where she's going, and the fact that she's never going to talk to her therapist again, I don't think so. She has no money, she has no job, all of her friends have abandoned her, her family is shit, like, it wouldn't happen. But there's a bit just before that where they're burying a time capsule in honour of all of the students who died during the attack, and Jessica puts in a book of Shakespeare because Nick liked Shakespeare, and she put in something on behalf of Valerie, and I liked that. That was the only thing in the book that I liked. However, I went on to Goodreads after I finished it to kind of consolidate my feelings of how shit I felt this book was, and everyone on there was like 4 or 5 stars and like, oh my god, it's wonderful, it's amazing, it's so poignant. And I don't know if it's a thing about America, because like in the UK you can't take a gun into school, because to get a gun you need a license, and to get a license you need to be over 18 and like have passed, I think you need to pass a psych eval, and you have to kind of have a reason for owning a gun. So this sort of thing would never happen here. I mean, it happened before the guns were outlawed kind of thing, but that was years and years and years ago. And I know that in America kind of school shootings are not a regular occurrence, but kind of there's something that actually happened, whereas here they just don't. So is it that this is actually a really accurate portrayal of what happens when there's a school shooting? If that's true, I'm so sorry for everyone who's ever been to a public school in America, to any school in America, because that's horrific. Or option 2 is that the subject matter of this book is so deeply rooted with so many people in America because they've seen or heard of one, or they've been through one, or they know someone who's been through one, that the crappy writing is excusable because of the subject matter. Which I can kind of also understand. Like, if a book is so close to something that you think about a lot, then I can understand shitty writing being excused. But because neither of those things is true for me, all I could see was the shitty writing. So this book is going to get 2 out of 10. And the only reason that it didn't get any lower than that is because it wasn't actively racist or sexist or homophobic. Like, characters were flat, plotline was crap, characters weren't believable, storyline wasn't believable, descriptors were not fantastic. So that's a 2 out of 10. I wouldn't read this book again. Anyway, if you want to leave a comment, please do. Subscribe to the videos, please do. Or if you want to have a chat with me about it on Twitter or Tumblr or Facebook, all of those things are options. And I will see you next time. Bye! Hello. That was really shitty. Okay. So, it's just bad.